Yes, Maya, it is the puppy. And good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird world of micromouse, and welcome to the exciting installment of Darkness in Dublin. For some reason, this always seems to happen whenever we're going live. It just goes live at the most inappropriate time when we are discussing the lives of our dogs, or indeed penile sizes. It's either one of those two topics, but God knows, always goes live in that one moment of time. This evening's scene is taking place moments after the end of the Ground of the Grand Melee, in which Baron Voidfrost, I would say in a stunning move, but then again, from the Baron's perspective, it was simply anticipated, victoriously executed, because executed is the only turn of phrase that one can appropriately use. Executed the noble Sir Christian Dubois of House Fiona. The Baron himself, having just been declared victor, is stalking off the stalking from the melee grounds. His armor still has steam raising from the black enameled plate. You see his eyes narrowed in, and his movements jerk ever so slightly, as there is clearly a pretty decent amount of pain in his movements. He will walk to one side of the ring, wherein the various different competitors have had tents and other areas to make themselves comfortable in, before he will walk towards the tent that has the blazing sun of House Verich, his own private little chalet in the chaos. As he just makes a kind of a wordless kind of, I'm not going to say grunt, but kind of wordless kind of grimace of pain as the noise escapes his lips. Seeing Borscht standing there, more than likely with a thermos filled with his namesake. Tiger, do you have a thermos filled with your namesake?
He does.
That is all I ever ask. He will say, help me get out of this fucking armor.
Borscht put down the thermos on a steady surface and start to help his Baron remove his armor.
Fuck that little suka cunt. Ah. As the armor is peeled away, you'll see the fact that Voidfrost was literally cooked inside his armor. So when you're putting your hand on it, it is scorching to the touch. I swear to the fucking dreaming little fucking listen, that was unpleasant.
Well, but you have won. He's all that matters, huh?
He turns back and he looks at the rather inhumed corpse, because when Voidfrost said he won, if you've ever seen that wonderful execution style where somebody is kneeling on the ground and you drive the sword down through their shoulder into their chest, that's essentially what he did to him. But he'll say, he will come back. I'll see that cheater hanged from a fucking gibbet.
So, and when he comes back, he will know that even if he cheats, he cannot beat you.
He contemplates. You finally get finally he's able to strip off the chest plate, which falls into the ground with a kind of a noise as he steps back, and he'll say, possible. Fuck me, that hurt. He takes a deep breath of air. He flicks up the sword, this wonderful treasure, this treasured heirloom that he took from the now temporarily deceased knight, and he flicks it around in his hands. And he'll say, here, I'm sure that you can find something to do with this.
Or still take it, I'll look at it. Looks to be a fine make, I suppose. Sure.
You will
pick up the thermos, offer it to Alexis.
Alexis sits down. He's naked to the waist, so he's got nothing on from his waist up. His skin is that incredibly odd she pale. But he'll sit himself in a chair, and he'll pour the contents of the thermos into a small cup before he will take his hand shakes ever so slightly as he takes it, as much of his skin on his upper torso is covered in quite nasty looking burns. And he'll say, we were told that we were not to use any abilities that broke through, shall we say, the chimerical onto the flesh, and Sir Dubois decided that he would be big man. So now cheating little bitch is going to see what happens when you play big man, I suppose. C'est la vie. These things happen, I suppose. Hang on, I'm just going to push anything. Paul, if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to. We are just sitting on the sidelines of what was the melee ground, so you're free to saunter around. Saunter, saunter. He unmuted himself, but I can't hear him if he's talking.
Paul, I don't believe we can hear you.
One second, let's just go back to Facebook.
Is he having some sort of connection issue?
He's fixing his mic.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
No worries. But Voidforce kind of crosses his legs as he takes a sip of life-giving borscht. And he'll say, he'll remove a number of small stubs from a purse that he will have left in the tent, and he'll say, in a few minutes, no point in rushing, and now go and cash these out, if you'd be so kind.
Look, of course.
Needless to say, he leans back in his chair. The Fiona Baron put 300 dross on his subordinate to win the melee. Needless to say, he is now a much poorer man for his decision.
I can admire the loyalty, but I'm a bit more of a pragmatic fellow.
And by that you mean you would have bet against me if you thought I would lose, like a good Varich.
No.
I understand. It's what I would do too. It's fine. Loyalty is all very good, but it can't exactly buy you horseshoes, as they say in the old country.
Loyalty does you nothing when you're staring down barrel of gun.
You would be expert on this. I'm led to understand that many people have stared down the barrel of Sasha.
No. And their loyalty has gotten them nowhere. Well, besides the final resting place.
And by that you mean an unceremonious pit that we happen to dig outside of St. Petersburg.
No. Pit is a strong term. Usually I make it very, very, very thin. No, very shallow. That is word.
English is sometimes complicated language.
Why are we speaking English? We both speak Russian.
Ah, very good. In that case, they switched to speaking Russian. But he'll walk into the tent and he'll come back out a few moments later with a bottle of really good, like, this is the Siberian chilled Russian vodka. And he puts down shot glasses on the table and he pours a measure for himself, and then he pours a measure for Borscht, and he says, "Na zdrowie."
No zdrowie.
I think Paul is audible now. Paul, do you exist? Nope, I was wrong. I saw it spike there for a second. But yeah, he'll say,
I did too.
Na zdrowie, your health.
So yours. He'll raise his glass and a toast.
Voidfrost knocks back the shot, like...
He'll be mirrored by Borscht.
Honestly, this is... It may be something ridiculous, like €400 a bottle, but I can really taste the fire.
It was handy to have back in the cold country.
What, considering that it could be minus 40 below, and you would wish that the frostbite would only go above your kneecap?
No.
I suppose these things happen.
Much It's still good, but not quite as good as it was now.
Nowadays, you have to pay through the roof. I remember back in the good old Soviet days where they gave you vodka with every serving of bread. I got the theory that it was just to keep the dumb population in line, but still, the population were fed-ish and drunk. What could be better?
Well,
Well, I see that they're finally moving. So he kind of looks over Bor's shoulder, kind of from the seat that he's sitting on, and he says, "Ah, I see they're finally moving what remains of Sir Dubois. Interesting."
Clear, because I was under the assumption they were still inside the tent. Are they outside now?
Basically, they're sitting outside the tent on two chairs, on a small table that's outside the tent proper. So they're not sitting in the tent; they're sitting just outside it.
All right. Then, as they're sitting outside the tent, a sketchily thin and grim-faced woman will come through. She is a fellow she, of course. And her looks, while severe, are pleasant in a manner that is disconcerting to most, but to a fellow she, he would understand. He would definitely understand. She'll lock eyes and give a tight smile, nod her head.
Does she have any house colors on or house sigil?
Oh, is that Paul?
Does
Does it
Paul
work?
exist?
Hello?
Yes. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Oh, hey! Paul!
Yeah, I fixed it.
What was the problem
Huzzah!
you were having? Was it just not picking up your microphone? It does that to me.
It was stuck on hard mute.
Those bastards.
Hard mute.
Yeah.
Oof. No bueno.
So we're literally just sitting outside our tent getting shit-faced. If you'd like to join us.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So Sir Falarin will kind of saunter up. He's dressed very well in a fine tailored suit. Its chimerical nature is also of the best spider silks. He does have a sword at his side. It is kind of piece tied in a way. And he will come up to greet the victor.
Voidfrost kind of he is just pouring another measure of vodka into the shot glass that's in front of him as the newcomer steps up, and his eyebrow kind of raises. As I said, he's naked to the waist at the moment, so he still has pants on and kind of the armored remains of his armor are on his lower legs, but from the chest up, he's not wearing anything. His body is covered in rather nasty looking burns. But he will say, good afternoon, sir.
Sir Falarin, Abalil.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Sir Falarin. Do forgive me with my accent, that is going to be an awful mouthful to say. But I've been hearing a lot about your noble house. It is always good to have the acquaintance of dragons, I find.
You flatter me, Lord.
He kind of snaps for Borsch to give his introduction. Like, go on, say, be polite.
Borsch will give a bow, a slight bow. I'll say, I am very star Dragonsmoke Average.
We use a different titling system. He is essentially comparable to you in the ranking system, but we use Reichstar as opposed to Knight.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Will you take drink with us, sir?
Absolutely.
Neshke. He will motion inside. A page will bring out another kind of low chair that they're sitting on, and he'll pour you a measure of vodka into the glass. Your help, in that case, friend.
I'm sorry, what did he say?
He said, "Your help." essentially drinking a toast to your health.
Gotcha. And to yours.
He will once again knock back the shot like.
Flaren will shoot it back.
Oh, it's good. So, are you from here, sir, or are you from elsewhere?
I am from elsewhere. And here.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say one interesting thing is, of course, that I should point out is poor old Borscht. He is a knocker, but he has the word "fool" tattooed on his left cheek.
Nice.
Yeah.
Delightful.
I am from elsewhere. And he kind of points to his body and goes, "This is from here."
You see, I like it. I like it a lot. That is an interesting turn of phrase. I've never heard it quite said that way before. Fascinating. And what's it that you do, noble knight?
I am an entrepreneur.
That either means in my line of work that you are a very good criminal or a very bad criminal.
I am a successful businessman, so I would say I'm a good criminal.
He kind of shoots a sideways look at Borscht, and he kind of says, I believe fiscal security is a good way of measuring if one is a good or a bad criminal, though."
It depends on one's definition, but that is certainly a way to define it.
Fascinating. What field do you entrepreneur?
Lately, mortuaries and funeral homes.
At least you will never have a shortage of customers.
Exactly. And a few
A
cemeteries.
lucrative business. You will
Oh.
hear drifting. Very lucrative indeed.
Sorry, we were just
The
getting to
gaunt
that
woman
when,
has came closer.
I was going to say we were just getting to that when Paul came back in. What house heraldry is she wearing? If any.
She's in resplendent bright green clothes with gold glittering about. There is a dahlia flower in her hair. Her smile is as sharp as thorns.
Oof. Ooh. Delali. Voidfrost will stand and at the arrival of a lady. My apologies, my lady. I did not see you. A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
It is indeed a pleasure to make your acquaintance. You are the victor. The true victor of this situation.
My apologies. May I have the honor of knowing the lady's name?
My name is Thetis Chell, Baroness. As you are a baron as well.
A pleasure to make your... He will extend his hand. A pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Put her hand in his.
He kisses her hand on just above the main knuckle on her left hand ring finger.
There's a narrowing of eyes and a nod. Approval. I saw the fight. Although I don't know anyone who hadn't. Anyone who was anyone, really.
I do hope that if lady wagered, she wagered on the correct side.
The sun hasn't proven me young just yet.
My apologies. Would you care to join us for a drink?
I would love to. I'd also love to speak with your new companion. Funerals are such an interesting profession. As you said, he'll never be out of business.
I will leave him to do his own introduction. Voidfrost will sit down. There's another chair brought out.
It's a pleasure to meet you, lady. I'm Sir Falaran Apalio.
Hello, good night. Put her hand, hello, and take a seat. She doesn't necessarily sit, as she does kind of glide into the chair, as if every movement is precise and pronounced. Dancing movement.
It is a pleasure to meet you, my lady. I am Drystorm Dragonsmoke Advantage.
It is good to meet you as well. She kind of give a side look to Void Frost and Quirk. Title. You are from afar, yes? Terminology is equated.
Reichstar equates to a 9. As technically my title is Boyar, but Baron is easier.
Boya. And Reichster. I can see, although we should try to integrate more languages. Makes it easier if we're creating connections.
Of that I have no doubt, my lady. He will pour her a drink. He'll pour the table another round. Your health.
Okay. And to yours all out here. So knock back. Real smooth.
Drink time.
Just bear in mind, it's only if it basically if you drink more alcohol beverages, then double your stamina. So basically, you get two drinks per stamina. If it goes above that, then you have to start making drinks.
Yep, I know.
Just brief note for people, because I had to do that again yesterday. I had to look that up yesterday.
So far, well, that's it. You've both drank to your health, so shouldn't you boys start taking the rolls? You did how many knockbacks? It was 2 for your health so far.
It was 2 for your health,
So I
1
think
when
it's
we
just...
came out. So at the moment, myself and Borscht are sitting at 3. The Allele is sitting at 2, and she's sitting at 1.
I kind of wonder, I was just like, wait, 1, 2, 3, yeah. Yep.
So, wonderful. I take it that... how did you get into the funeral business? I think that this must be a story.
It is a story, actually. I first got acquainted with the notion of how funerals are done shortly after my arrival. And as I was starting to understand the currency and how standard things cost, I very quickly realized how much it cost to bury one of these things. So I started to apply my business craft into the market and found that I had a taste for it.
Utilizing talent and where it can be most useful is an admirable trait. To do so quickly upon your arrival. Very interesting.
I adapt.
One truly must. Adaptation is the only way to truly survive. As long as you utilize it in the best sorts of way to keep what you like and divulge with what is unnecessary.
Things really got interesting when I discovered the term hostile takeover.
I'm sure in your business, puns for that must be incredible.
He looks at Borscht and he kind of raises an eyebrow and he says in Russian, I think that he doesn't mean what we mean when we say hostile takeover.
Borscht just kind of nods slowly.
Ah, so it doesn't involve shotguns and the Bratva.
It's good, I suppose, but it is less likely.
Excellent.
Gentlemen,
We were having a clarification as to your meaning. My apologies. The phrasing hostile takeover is synonymous to us with a different form of hostility.
Language can be tricky.
Absolutely.
no,
Speaking of the necessary. Oh, my apologies.
I'm unsure of Russian culture, but it is traditionally considered rude to speak a language that others in the group do not possess. Am I mistaken?
He contemplates that and he'll say, able to cede to you on this point, as it is considered rude here. To us, as I said, I was merely clarifying your statement, so I would not seem ignorant thereof.
Sure, I understand entirely. I didn't want either myself to remain ignorant of differences in culture.
But he leans back in his chair and he kind of pens his fingers together. Actually, he'll walk inside the tent briefly. He'll come out. You'll hear swearing, or that sounds like angry expletives. He comes back out a few seconds later. He's wearing a very light robe over his burns, and you can guess the swearing was him putting it on top of the burns.
While he's doing that, right around halfway through the screaming, Borscht will just politely hold open a thermos full of borscht and offer it to the two.
Thetis will take it. To the notion, do I swig?
He'll pour it into
Oh.
a
Just
bowl.
looking at him, do I swig?
So we have cups.
Do
We
I
have
hold?
cups.
Takes a
Oh,
cup of
oh.
borscht and
Yeah.
sips it as she hears the expletive cursing, as if nothing is wrong. Nothing at all is well. Ignore the screams.
Blair will kind of lean over to the lady. Sounds like he suffered wounds.
Oh, definitely. It's partially why I'm here, in order to assuage just how severe the insult is. Also, if he is putting on clothing, that may not be the best idea for him. Particularly because he's going to disturb those wounds. And his body will not be kind on that.
We'll walk out a few moments later. As I said, it's a very light robe, but yeah, there is a grimace as he sits back down. For the record, he is currently, just to give a kind of a rough idea, he's currently he's carrying a level of aggravated damage, so it's a lot more pain than it is anything else. But he's carrying a level of real world aggravated damage, not chimerical aggravated damage.
Right.
So
Baron Voidfrost. Yes, right? Voidfrost.
yes, my lady.
If you need a balm of some sorts, I have some with me at my tent. I can have one of my retinue bring it by.
Considering my skin is currently on fire, that would be very preferable.
Yes, I'll send a message to bring you some soon. I had initially meant to see the victor, but knowing of your wounds now, it has me highly concerned.
I
It's one
am
thing to see in the stands, it's another to see visibly.
I am deeply disappointed in House Fiona that the honorable lions will openly cheat the terms of this melee and thumb their noses at this, in doing so, causing me physical hurt.
In the stand looked garish to begin with, and I don't think we truly realized the magnitude of the effects until after, and you dealt with him as you are well within your rights to. It
Ultimately,
is.
oh, sorry,
Hmm?
continue.
No, no, continue. It's okay. What'd you say?
Ultimately, Sir Dubois will return in a handful of hours, at which point this will need to be set to rights. I will have to have words with his baron, because ultimately he has broken the terms of the Count's melee, and I stand as the injured party. This is simply not acceptable.
This is also the reason why I'm here. Myself, Baron Linthorn, and Baron Bloodmoon reside in certain territories together, underneath the Count Marsden. I needed to be sure, and to bring this to him to let him know that it needs to be dealt with. While melees are all good and fun, there are rules, and rules should be respected, not flagrant around for a good ha.
Ultimately, I can understand that Baron Fiona placed a substantial wager of dross on this particular conflict. I believe the amount was 300 tokens or coins thereof, and not insubstantial amount. I would be hopeful that this last-ditch attempt to drag victory from the jaws of defeat was an unintentional move of a young and brash Wilder who did not think of their actions, as opposed to trying to save their liege lord's pocketbook, having to spare his debt.
As for myself, I do not know the knight in question, and I only know Baron Thorn through business, which is particularly why I'm here to learn. Because if this is being done and is under his ruling, then he needs to address it. You are a fellow baron, you are a fellow she, you are one of us. This cannot go unanswered, particularly
Hmm.
because it is thumbing the nose at an oath, and that is an issue that needs to be dealt with, particularly because until kind of let her eyes kind of trail towards the opening of the tent and trail back slowly, deliberately. The knight in question will be back, and soon. And I'm assuming you still have the sword.
Indeed. As I said at the ending of the mail, he'll actually point to Borscht and he'll say, "Put it on the table, would you please?"
Boris will nod and do so.
The
Welcome,
treasure's
Borscht.
on the table. He'll say, you actually see him. He runs a cloth along the blade, collecting the still coagulating blood from it before he pours some of the blood into a very small vial. I've already discussed with Austin doing this. But he'll cork the vial and he'll say, ultimately, I have decided to keep the blade until such time as both the Baron and his knight make right and make due recompense.
And how long will this be done for? By tonight? He'll be back in a matter of hours. By next week?
And I have said that I will give the Baron until the new moon to make
New moon.
reparations.
That's in what, 5 days, I believe? Something of the sorts.
You have to
Sorry, is the new
excuse
moon in
me.
5 days? Oh, sorry, continue, Paul.
You have to excuse me. I missed the melee. How did this Fiona Knight cheat?
The, Baron, the Count made it clear in the melee that we were not to use abilities that could render the body to final absolute death, the death of both the body and the soul.
Hmm.
When it became
And the
clear that I was
fire.
Yes, when it became clear that I was about to become Victor, he unleashed the art of dragon's ire and set me aflame. Real flame.
If I remember correctly, you were in the midst literally in the air. So it's not only that he affected Baron Voidfrost here, is that he could have affected others as well. Those flames were real. There were people in the stands as well, including myself and several others of importance of barons.
Hmm.
It was both of willful negligence and pride,
Ultimately,
and
were I not
also a thumb in
able
the nose at the ruling.
were I not able to change my form into that of a body of flame, as opposed to a body of air as I was at the time, I could well have succumbed myself and been rendered unto my final death due to this ignorance or malice of forethought of Sir Dubois.
I do so hope that whatever the knight in question's plan was of stupidity. Because if it was of willful ignorance, well then, that just brings it to a whole new level of consequences for
Oh,
him and the Baron, if the Baron was in on it. This is all pure speculation.
of
Simply
course.
saying.
Ultimately, he will sip. He will actually. He'll take up his cup of borscht and he'll sip it. Ultimately, the question becomes an issue of if the unleashing was controlled or if Sir Dubois lost control. I have no doubt that we will be able to ascertain that question. But if it turns that he did indeed control the unleashing and this was his intent, then his intent was to end my life. And that
And
is
thus, an oath breaking.
the
Isn't by its very nature unleashing uncontrolled? I mean, even if it's a gamble, it's a big gamble.
It is a very big gamble, but is it on the gambling side of win at all costs, or is it on the bad gambling side of I must do something?
as I said, one way or the other, he broke the rules through ignorance or through malice. Either way, it makes him an oath breaker.
There's simply levels after hand to be dealt with, dependent on his intention or lack thereof. To finish up her little cup of borscht. I
Is it
do so wish our
possible?
first meeting was better.
Does this Baron who has fealty with this knight have other knights?
Langthorn does, I believe, but I do not peer too closely into the territories and properties, sorry, people of other barons. I focus on my own business.
I understand, but if his other knights show questionable judgment, maybe the fault isn't with the knights.
You could do an inquiry,
Though
privately.
one of your house, my dear sir, appears to have been quite close to Sir Dubois. She was ever his adjutant and
Oh,
very close thereof.
Hmm.
What
who
was
was
her name?
this? I did not see.
She was a Slua squire. I don't remember her name.
A Slew Esquire?
Hmm.
In what way
Interesting.
was she close to this individual?
Fawning on him, trying constantly hanging off him like a struck school child.
Adorable. Truly adorable.
And this is the knight who broke the oath.
The
Yes. Perhaps words should be had, not obtrusively, but in quiet conversation with
I
this
don't
Lula
know
girl.
who, as I said, I can't remember her name. I don't know who her knight is, or I would have words because the level of fawning was inappropriate at best.
If
You would
you
have
would not
words with her
mind.
knight?
More so the fact that it was, how would I phrase?
Inappropriate.
Unseemly.
Mm.
I'm intrigued. Let's
Um,
have words.
Ah, you are the young lady's knight, huh?
Correct.
What is her name, as I can't recall it?
All right, neither can I, so he'll provide it.
Hang on. We can check this.
I'm looking.
Good. Means I don't have to.
She told me in a message.
Anyway, continue with the conversation while I look.
No worries. As a squire, it is unseemly to be that. How would I phrase?
Affectionate.
Openly so with another individual in public. It was particularly.
Paul, is it Bridget? Miss
That sounds
Lynch?
right. Yeah,
Oh
that's right.
yes, there we go. Particularly, if you will indulge, a commoner kith who physically attaches themselves to a she in public.
What did this Fiona Knight do to rebuke her advances?
Nothing.
Interesting.
Once
I
again,
understand having a good time at a melee, but perhaps some discretion.
it
Just a
was
bit.
before the melee, actually, when we were being brought together to be transported to the melee grounds. The before party, she found his arm and clung there.
Was she perhaps nervous, insecure?
Taking on a Slua of the house, I've learned a few things that I didn't know about the Slua beforehand. Their dour disposition can run quite deep. They are prone to fits of depression and solitude. So we have been working on her coming out of her shell, so to speak. So
Sir Dubois' comfort?
she's still learning how to handle the more positive emotions.
So the Fiona Knight in question was of comfort, not fawning, but of
She also,
safety?
she also did something that was incredibly distasteful, that I feel should be brought to public scrutiny.
Oh.
She is Slua after all, so.
No, this was offensive to the concept. There was a Kinane. I believe he is connected to Baroness. Insert name of Baroness here, because I can't remember. I believe that they are in some way connected to one another. The boy was in her box at the melee. Maybe her child. I don't exactly know. But he is Kinane. Even after it has been explained to her that he is Kinane, she continued to give him a titleless, soulless extension of the dreaming, the adage of calling him Sir, even after I corrected her. Sir as in knightly Sir, not as in Sir as in namesake, so Sir individual's name. Giving an adage to a Kinane that the Kinane cannot possess, and it is an offense to believe it could.
Well, since it seems to have troubled you greatly, I will have a conversation with her about it.
I am eternally grateful to you. I believe my house does not hold truck with the Slua. We have a special name for them. It is Verminishki, or cockroaches. But if it is going to be
Quaint.
allowed in the house, beg your pardon?
She will simply kind of give a half smirk of quaint.
But if they are going to be given the ability in other houses to wear the colors and portray the heraldry, they must be held to a high standard. For example, I would not have knighted Rystar Dragonsmoke if he was not exceptional at what he did, despite the limitations placed upon him in the nature of his chrysalis and his current self.
Hmm. Well, I don't question the judgment of your house.
On the side note,
Would just all be had.
I was going to say, it is actually true, Hasvaraj doesn't allow Slua in. We practically killed them on sight. It's really sad. It's really sad.
Cletus is just going to nurse her vodka shot. And by nurse, I mean just take it and hold.
But I have no doubt in your abilities to elicit the correct response in this matter, noble sir.
I will speak to her of how you were offended by her actions.
Good.
And I will remind her of how to properly conduct herself in front of members of your house.
All that goes to all that goes to his mind at the moment is, how to conduct themselves in front of Hasvaraj, hang themselves. We really don't like Slua. But he'll smile. He'll kind of smile it off, like, yes, handle themselves. Yes, that's what we're going to do today. Have you been made aware of the? I'm not sure how much word has filtered about the Nervosa who are cutting off people's abilities to dream.
Who is he speaking to?
He's speaking to Sir Valarin.
Flaren, yeah.
Byron, there we go. I will get it eventually. Just my brain will eventually catch up with my mouth.
I can't read it off of my cell phone. So I have to go look at his sheet.
But yeah, he's talking to Sir Pilar and he's asking if he's heard of the Nervosa that are eating people's dreams.
I have not.
Yes, it is most serious. Small creatures made of shadows that hunt and stalk rather profusely. They are cutting off people's abilities to dream. It is most disconcerting.
Huh. So, more information is required.
Of course. As it stands, when it is they sever someone from the dreaming proper, they take the dreams and place them, or they take the ability to dream and place it in small orbs that can be anywhere from the size of a baseball all the way up to a basketball. And they have been collecting and hoarding them, I'm led to understand.
Wait, you said basketball?
The
Remind me again, those are the larger round orange ones, not the oval-shaped brown ones?
correct. Yes.
Thank you.
It's fine. But yes, needless to say, if you come across any of these, the Duchess has requested that all of these orbs be rendered unto her keeping so that the Oniromancers may attempt to reconnect the given individual with their lost dreams.
Hmm. I will inquire of my squire to see if she has any information or can find any information regarding this.
Good. We all must do our part in order to make this, how would you say, unpleasant situation end. That there is scarce enough glamour as it is for us to lose other sources and avenues of it would be criminal.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. So while I'm discussing with her about proper manners, I will ask her to gather whatever information she can.
Good.
The Slua do have a purpose.
If you think so.
Gentlemen,
Those cockroaches can get anywhere.
I like him, Borscht. He is the how? No, I like him, right? Dragon Smoke. He is what is the word? The droll? Is droll a word?
Borscht, as soon as he says that, darts up from his seat and is like looking around the tent, trying to make sure no fucking Sluar snuck in.
I like that he just materializes a gun. He's like fucking cockroaches. Where the fucking cockroaches?
No, he's grabbed the sword off the table.
Oh, there we go.
there you go. You found a reason for the sword. Question, Evan.
Mhm.
Has he already penned that notice?
He is going to have been penning it. You know, he's going to have been penning it while we've been talking. So while he's been having this very nice little conversation, he's going to have been writing it.
All right.
So he'll just be about.
That is. Mhm.
I'm just gonna say he'll have just finished it up now. So he'll have put down his writing book onto the paper onto the table.
Sorry.
Borscht, make sure you check my trunk for Sloa. I don't want them in my underthings.
Borscht grabs a candle off of the table, grabs a cigarette out of his pocket, lights the cigarette with the candle, takes a deep inhale, and then goes to check the trunk.
And remember, if just looking for them worked, they wouldn't be the Slua. You have to move things around.
There is furious sounds of shuffling furniture coming from the other section of the tent now.
Perfect.
Oh dear.
I do enjoy teasing the commoner kits.
He'll shrug and he'll say, "I don't know how much of that is honestly Rystar Dragon Smoke believing what we have said, or if he is humoring us.
Either way, I'm amused.
That is all that matters."
All right. Getting a little late for me. So. Sorry. Sorry. That is will placed her glass down and left her of vodka. Sorry. Well, gentlemen, it has been very interesting speaking with you. Good Sir Knight and my fellow Baron, thank you for taking the time to converse with me. I have things I do need to look into now,
Absolutely.
and hopefully the matter will be solved quickly and without issue.
I was contemplating holding some kind of soiree, a ball, perhaps. You shall have to favor me with your presence should I arrange such.
Of course, and my house generally has great love for balls. So if you do invite, I may be able to bring some entertainment.
My apologies. Your house Darwan, huh?
Did you just say Darwan?
I think that which is the one that has green as their primary color. Everyone's brain is dead.
It's what the she's green and gold.
Oh, is that Gwydion?
It's Lin Juan.
Oh, Lianan. Okay. I'll shut up now. He will
So
say
wait, so
he is not going to have said the wrong house because he is less
okay.
green than Evan is. He will say, "One always requires muses, Baroness."
I'm sorry, what?
He said, "One always requires muses, Baroness," because they're the nickname it has Liana and their muses.
Mm-hmm. There's a smile. It is not quite too bright, but there is a flush of warmth. Yes, indeed. She will raise up and give a respectful goodbye. And before she leaves, she'll hesitate. Uh, Baron Voigtfrost, I'll have one of my retinue come bring you the balm as soon as possible. You may keep the container. I believe you may be of heavy need of it.
Thank you, Baroness. I shall hope that you have a pleasant day.
And I hope the rest of the melee is pleasant for all of us, and no more of this mess.
One can
And you
but
will.
hope.
Mm-hmm. And thus, that shell will glide away.
I think that is a good place. So we shall do the outro. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another Scene in Darkness in Dublin. Have a pleasant evening. As Borscht attempts to beat up the invisible Slua.